Hey everybody, this is Big D here on Big D's Fig Farm. And so I'm doing some potting up today of some cuttings to hopefully get some of them to root and grow. Then I will sell most of the ones that I'm doing today. A few of them I'm starting to add to my collection, but or at least to try them and see. Much to Figgy T's dismay. No. Anyway, she loves me. She puts up with it. So I'm doing some, like I said, some potting up today for rootings to start some new trees. And I get asked a lot about that. I just want to come back one more time. I try to say this often so everybody knows I am not an expert. This is a hobby for me. Now, I've been doing it for a few years. Um, and I read a lot, I study a lot, all those things. So I know some, but man, I am not a professional or an expert at this by no means. This is fun for me. It's a hobby for me. And I don't mind sharing what I'm learning. And if it helps somebody, great. But you can find people much, much, much better at this than me. Okay? I have killed so many cuttings or ruined them. It's not even funny. But over probably the last, I don't know, last season before that, I started honing in and getting much better success. I still probably get about 85, 90, 95% success at this point, but you still lose some. I don't know if there's any way to avoid that. But let's say there are a million ways that you can root a fig cutting because uh, they're just vigorous. They like to grow. And so I've seen here lately people using just a tub with sand. They just lay the sticks in there on the sand, spritz them with some water, keep the humidity and temperature at a certain level, and then 3 weeks later they got roots growing everywhere and they plant them. I've never been able to get success with that. It's just never worked for me. I've tried it, but it didn't work. I've tried the fig pops with the plastic bag. Again, doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I just have never got it to work for me. I'm not sure why. So what I'm going to show you today is what I have found to work the best for me. And again, this is not all the only option. This is just what I use. Okay. So all those who want to correct me and fix me, I do take suggestions. Don't get me wrong. But again, this is what I do. And if you do it better, that's awesome. You can share with me what you do better, and maybe I can implement it. So what I do is if it is an apical, I cannot say that, apical bud, the top bud, where it's on the tree itself, this would be the end of the limb where it grows. And hopefully you can see that clear on the video. I don't even know what you can see, what you can't. So I don't wrap these, and maybe I should, but I don't. I figure if Mother Nature, if God made them this way, and it holds the moisture in already on the tree, I probably don't need to fool with it. So I don't normally wrap those. If it's a cut end, where I've cut it off a limb, like this end was, where there's the limb continued up above there was other pieces. I wrap it because it's an open part of the tree, and so, or limb, to keep the moisture from escaping, to keep the moisture inside the cutting, and to keep the whatever life in there, or whatever you want to call it. So what I do when I'm doing these is I always make a fresh cut, just a small cut on the bottom where I cut this. So I'm not going to cut it again. You just cut off. I cut off, and I mean small, like just a little teeny layer. Then I take a knife and I scrape down to the cambium layer. It's a light green layer right underneath the bark. You don't have to do a lot, just a couple swipes, very gently, comes right off. And I make 2 or 3. Now, there's some people say you don't need to do that. Some people say you don't need any growth hormone to make it go. But again, what I found to work the best for me. So the medium I use I like using these 32-ounce cups. I label what I have in there because my brain is not good enough to remember. So I have to write it on there. I write the day that I put it in. So because I'm very impatient, waiting, looking for roots, and sometimes I get too impatient and start to pull them up, and there was root starting, and I break them off. So blah, blah, blah. I've learned all these things. It takes 3 to 4, sometimes 6 weeks for some varieties to even root. But anyway, this I use Pro Mix. I like the red bag the most. Some people like the organic, if they have organic farm. Organic for me doesn't hold moisture very well. It just, and I know figs don't like a lot of moisture. Speaking of moisture, probably the most critical point of rooting fig cuttings is the moisture level. Uh, Too dry, and they don't have enough water to keep growing. Too wet, they'll rot. You got to find the medium in there. You want moist, but not soaking wet. And so it's that's probably the hardest challenge is getting the right moisture level. And then you want the right temperature. It needs to be 75 to 85 degrees is ideal for, from what I understand, for rooting. So Pro Mix, that's all I put in there. I put some water in the Pro Mix. It's I know the weight on it, so I don't want it wet. I do want water in there. So then I took my stick, I cut the end off, I scraped down to the cambium layer. I have a little paintbrush here, and I use Clonex rooting gel. Some people use Dip and Go. Some people use the powder. Tried them both. I've tried all of them. This just seems to give me the best results. So I went with it and I stayed with it. Clonex. So I put it in a little medicine cup so that you don't contaminate your bottle by brushing and then putting your brush back in there. I put it in here and then I take from here onto the brush. And then you just paint on some rooting gel. Generously, just paint it on there. And then I just take and insert it down into the soil. And I just tamp around it very gently. You don't want the compact soil either. That's another thing you don't want. All right, so and then the last thing I do is I put a layer of sand on it. And I'll show you a layer on the top. This is because if you start your trees in your house and you don't want a bunch of gnats in your house, you got to find out something to keep the gnats down. They will lay their eggs in the soil, and then when it's nice and warm and moist, they come flying out and they'll drive you nuts. So I put a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch layer of sand on top. And this is the first year I've done that. So it's not like I can't tell you this is going to work. I'm hoping it works because the gnats are annoying. All right, so I've used those little traps, and my wife, she hates the bugs. That's one of the things she gets on me most about, the bugs. So I'm trying to mitigate that. So I read that you can put a layer of sand and it keeps the bugs down and not able to get to the soil or out of the soil. And so we're going to give it a whirl. So I'll show you a finished one here in a second. Okay, here are a couple that are finished. It's got about a 1/4 inch of sand on top on both of these. Hopefully it'll keep the bugs down. I forgot to mention what I wrapped the end of the sticks with. I use parafilm. I bought this, I don't know, a year ago, and it's still got a ton left in there. You just peel it and wrap it. That's that right there on the end of the stick there. Some people use melted wax. Some people use Elmer's glue. Again, this is what I got, and it works. So that's what I do. Okay. All right, so here I am, my first round of rootings. I mean, I'll do these once they start growing. I move them over to my growing lights, which I can expand this pretty much across the room, and then I'll start another batch over here on the heat mat. So there you go. That's what it looks like when I'm finished now with the waiting game. Wait, see what roots and how it goes.